8:01 tomorrow morning.
Yes, they're coming in with police.
Police.
Who will threaten to arrest me
Yeah.
if I don't remove myself. Next thing I know, he's bulldozing tents down. That's the answer, isn't it? Doesn't the city own a whole bunch of factories that are falling down that are eyesores?
Yeah.
Why can't they turn that into somewhere where the tents can be?
Yeah.
Homeless is on the rise, sweetheart. They just raised rents another 7 to 10% this year. I'm on ODSP. I get $1,300 a month. I can't even get a room at a dilapidated hotel for that. And shame beyond Matt Siscoe for thinking that you can just rip a tent down with nowhere to put them. Nobody asked for homelessness out here.
No.
We're being forced out here, and they're being pushed into your backyards. My name is Eleanor Rye. Originally, I'm a Toronto transplanted out here. I came to this area originally to marry my first husband, who was a childhood sweetheart. 6 months later, he beat me within an inch of my life. In 2019, I got tired of being left on the system, so I took out a business license. Got everything ready, got my inventory, started getting everything together to open this business up, and then the COVID lockdowns hit.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yes, I was doing used furniture, only wood furniture, because I don't like the thought of cloth. You can get bugs in there and everything else. So I would go around on a garbage night and pick up all the broken wooden furniture and bring it back to my store and sand it down and fix that crickety drawer, fix the scratches on the surface, put a new varnish on it, and then send it back out into the community at a lowered price that a working mom can afford. Yeah. My idea is keeping it out of the landfill. It restores the artwork, because a lot of these items are very, very old, handmade, tongue and groove, hand carved.
Yeah.
Somebody took time and effort to put it there.
Yeah.
It keeps it out of our landfill, which it takes a very long time for a varnish dresser to break down in the landfill. And I believe if you beautify the insides of your home, you can conquer your outside world. If you're waking up in a drab place that is dilapidated and the paper is peeling off your walls and there's roaches, you have no confidence when you walk out your door. You're looking at the ground and you feel like crap.
How long was your business operating before COVID hit?
I had just taken out my business license. I had POS systems on the rise coming in. The screens for the COVID were coming in, and they told me I was not a necessity of life. I never got to open the doors. $58,000 of my own cash is gone. It's gone, wiped away.
Was that the beginning of the end for you?
That was the beginning of the end for me. Me and my second husband, we ended up transplanted out here because it was supposed to be the emergency shelters. At that point, they had the hotel program. Which was better for us because my husband had some undiagnosed mental problems.
And you can have a private space now.
Yeah, he was prone to outbursts, so we needed to have our own spot. We ended up not being able to keep with that program because of his outbursts. So I started using our COVID payments from the business to pay for a dilapidated hotel room, because that's what we could afford.
In Niagara Falls?
In Niagara.
That was the Falls, yeah. That's where I usually went.
So we ended up in a hotel called the America's Hospitality Inn. That was at 7070 Lundy's Lane. There's been newspaper articles on what happened to me there. After a year, I started working maintenance for the previous owner, doing a lot of repairs and what have you, keeping the building running. The owners were never on property. There was no management there. They sold the place sight unseen to another man. We didn't even know the place was up for sale, who promptly came in and cut down vital utilities the first time, November 14th. I had the police out to turn it back on. We did a head count. He had to pay for everybody to go to a hotel so they could get it back on. December 30th, this man called up and had the hydro shut off again. In January, it was minus 14. All vital utilities cut off to 20 people who had to pay first and last month's rent, renting by the month. Yeah,
with essentially no credit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a background check.
On disability or what have you, because disability only gives you $600 and something for rent.
Yeah.
The rest is your daily living expenses.
Yeah.
So I was paying $900 a room. Earlier that year, I had a windfall at a bingo. So I paid 4 months in advance just to make sure that we were going to be covered in the winter. I didn't want to be cold.
Yeah, for sure.
He came in and shut them vital utilities. It took me 3 days of calling BYLAW, housing enforcement, and every other agency known to man to try and get help to get the hydro back on.
Were they helpful?
They did the best they could. The hydro wouldn't turn back on. There's no way to enforce that law.
Okay.
Most of the officers arriving on the scene didn't even know it was stated as a law on a government site. If I had stolen a chocolate bar, they would have taken me away in cuffs. Why is this man that froze these people going to be allowed to get away with this? Is what I'm thinking in my head. I filed with Landlord and Tenant Board right away when the lights went out. But it was 7 days before I got out. Third day in, I had the hydro put on in my own name, bypassing this owner. I paid to have it turned back on. He promptly sent somebody in to flood an upstairs room. 2 hours after it hit the electrical, the young new fire chief decided it was a fire hazard and shut us down a second time.
Did he?
They evacuated most of them. Red Cross came in and evacuated most of the guests out to hotels. I was the last person standing. I was there for 7 days by the time I got out. We got up to the hotel where everybody had been evacuated to. They kept us for 2 weeks and then threw us out in a blizzard with nowhere to go. I then took us wherever I could to get us into shelter. My husband and I, we come out here. We were staying on somebody's floor. We get in an argument the next morning. They put him in jail. 5 months later, he gets out. By then, I bought us an RV. I bought an '89 RV. Figured, okay, well, I can go to the RV park. I got an RV. At least they can't take this shelter away from me.
Yeah.
They don't tell you it's got to be 2015 or newer to get into the park. I couldn't even get into a park with it. I pick him up from jail. He walked out the door and somebody killed him. My life has been hell since. I have been going through some of the most atrocious shit out here. I ended up not being able to keep the RV. I came out here with another man after spending all of my check every month to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks in Niagara Falls and then 2 weeks on the street through the summer.
Which is a common thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met another person there that was willing to rent a house with me out here. I had half a house. Only communal areas, bathroom, perfect. This man goes ballistic on me and decides to assault me in the driveway. I don't do violence, so I start packing. By the time the cop gets there, I'm packing already. I'm the easy one to remove from the scene.
Yeah.
Because it was an abuse situation from every agency I could think of. I made 500 phone calls in the first 2 days that I was out here and couldn't get any help. I had to create my own way because there's no contingency plan for somebody who's not partner abuse.
Yeah.
Or that wants to leave with their belongings.
Yeah.
They wanted me to just leave my belongings behind, everything I had worked for 50 years. Every memory of my husband, every tool that keeps me going. I'm supposed to just throw it all away? What part of your life is expendable?
Yeah.
My things are part of me. It's part of my good effort to remain a solid person in society.
Yep.
And you want me to just leave them there? For why?
So.
As for going back to the YWCA, which the bed was offered to me today because Bateman was here and the reporter was here.
Yeah.
They wanted me to go in for a reassessment, but I was supposed to go in for a reassessment that weekend. When the weekend was over, I was left outside when they did the meeting.
Was that in St. Catharines or the
that's
shelter
the St. Catharines it's King Street.
Yep.
Apparently I self-checked out. I wasn't written up or anything. I had been asked to bring in some extra legal papers. But this is after being eaten alive by bugs for a week, which I had to prove. I was told, no, there's no bugs. I had to bring them 3 bugs in baggies, live bugs, before they got the exterminator there. After 4 days of not sleeping, I get off the elevator to, you've got too much shit. Because I had a grocery bag of legal papers over top of my 2-bag minimum.
And they put you out.
And they put me out.
And
actually, I walked out the door with my belongings because I was arguing with the young girl and I didn't want it to escalate.
Are there, so when they came by earlier today and they said a bed was available, was that at the same shelter?
No, they wanted me to come in for a reassessment first.
So that you weren't even guaranteed?
No. I was to go in and do a reassessment. Go in and kiss their bum.
Yeah.
and say, yes, it's okay to bully me out and throw a person, a human being, into a snowbank with nowhere to go because I self-discharged. This young girl put me on a level 4 restriction that was originally a level 6. With a level 4 restriction, that's reserved for somebody who's violent and destructive of property, which I didn't either. They said I was uttering death threats. The cops were on scene. If I had uttered a death threat, I would have been in jail.
Yeah.
This level 4 restriction stops me from going to any shelter in the region.
Okay, so that was one of the questions.
They will not take a level 4 because it's considered a violent person who's going to be destructive to property.
So the two questions that I have, you just answered one, that essentially because of the restriction, you're essentially banned from all shelters. Now,
I just found out yesterday, my ban was supposed to be up on the 21st of May.
Okay.
And for some reason, my NASA worker, Niagara Assertive Outreach Team, has told me that they're extending it, my punishment. I've already done 90 days of punishment and trauma in a tent.
Why? Did they say why?
No.
No.
This is the region wants to extend it.
The same region the city / region that's going to be tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Here to rip my tent down after I did 18-hour days for 16 days straight to clean this lot up.
So the region claims that you have a level 4 ban.
Yep.
The city says that you have a bed, but you don't because of the ban.
Yep. And then,
what
of course, they told
me,
on one hand, I'm being told that I'm not an addict. I do use. I'm not going to lie about that. I go to CTS, which is a crucial part of the environments out here, and very, very much needed. Very much needed because it keeps the needles and everything off your streets.
And somebody there that's going to make sure.
It gives them somewhere safe where in case that drug is tainted, that somebody there, they have EMS on board and everything else
system
to save their lives.
Yes, yeah.
If they want help, they can get it there.
Now, if you
they
don't
get
mind
the resources they need.
You don't mind me asking?
Crucial. And an emergency shelter should never, ever be allowed to put these kind of restrictions on somebody and put them through this kind of trauma.
Especially in
after a couple of days of laying on the ground, you're disheveled looking. You start to smell. A store won't even let you come in to use bathroom or buy a water.
Yeah, they'll let someone like me.
Laundromats. The laundromat up here on Queenston, but they won't even let somebody go in and wash their clothes because they look homeless. I'm sorry. What does homeless look like?
Yeah.
What does homeless look like? Me? How about you?
I think
because everybody's one paycheck away from where I'm at.
Oh yeah.
I cannot get out of this tent fast enough for anybody.
So
housing won't help me. Now I've tried saying I'm going to go to the detox center because I use.
Yeah.
I'll go through the detox. It'll fast track me for housing. Detox won't take me. I'm not an addict enough. I have a stupid people problem, not an addiction problem. And the region to get me back into shelters or into the transitional housing wants me to finish going through a detox program.
So
I can't do that. I'm not allowed to do the detox program because I'm not really an addict. Yeah. But you're demanding me to do the detox to be able to go into housing, and how would you like me to accomplish this?
Yeah.
So how much more are you going to blacklist me for speaking out against the atrocities that you guys are doing?
Yeah.
I even told my CMHA worker, think beyond your job title.
Did that message land, do you think?
I told him, I said, you can't even get me into a shower today, which I'm concerned about because I've got bed sores.
Yeah.
How are you going to get me in housing if you can't get me somewhere or open a door in your safe bed or in your drug rehabilitation center right there and let me have a fucking shower? And you think I'm gonna say, okay, yes?
Yeah.
I will not kiss ass. I am not going to buckle on this. I will not allow anybody to treat other human beings this way ever again in my lifetime. I'm 50 years old. I sleep in a tent, and I'm speaking out against a bully in the system. And shame beyond Matt Siscoe for thinking that you can just rip a tent down with nowhere to put them. Nobody asked for homelessness out here.
No.
We're being forced out here, and they're being pushed into your backyards. Because
so homelessness is a symptom of something, right?
Yes, it's you know what? You don't know why that person's stuck out there. Maybe their wife died and they couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Maybe they lost a child. And who are you to dictate how much pain they can feel or how much trauma they've been through? What she feels for her cat dying could be what I feel for my husband dying. I am not her judge, jury, and executioner. You're not mine. As far as I know, I don't live in a perfect world, and neither do you. Yeah. And who made you God?
Is that your message for Matt and David?
I am very angry with Matt Siscoe. I told him when I sat down with him in the meeting, he's a young politician.
Yeah.
Lead by example. St. Catharines. Show them how to not treat people this way.
Yeah. Show
them how to fix a problem. You've got enough dilapidated buildings around town that you've taken for fines or whatever. Why don't you let some of these people in there and see what they can do? Tell them, if you can get it cleaned up to where I'm not getting complaint calls every day about it, if you can clean it up, we'll let you stay in there, no problem. Give them somewhere to go.
Yeah.
How are you going to rip away their only shelter and every belonging they own and throw it in the fucking trash? You don't allow them to put trash out to the curb for pickup.
Yeah.
They can't go to a fucking bathroom after they stink after 2 days. I believe a politician should have to sleep outside in the winter for at least 2 weeks before becoming a politician.
Just so they have
Be a shepherd that walks amongst your fucking flock. How 90% of your voters are out in tents right now.
Yeah.
And people need to get smart, because a politician doesn't have all the power. When I asked Matt Siscoe earlier in the year to help me because I was being thrown out of Riordan on a regular by cop because I wanted my door closed, he told me he didn't have the power to help me, but he sure has the power to rip down tents with bulldozers and cops.
And Matt,
passing these bylaws that tell us not to be on these spots.
Yeah.
You know why somebody goes and tries to stay by the bus shelter? Because there's lights and cameras and heat.
Yep. And it's an access.
There's a bathroom that they can get to.
Yeah. And there's
you're not providing these things for these people to be able to function at any kind of welcoming level.
Yeah.
And now you're tearing down their tents, taking their belongings and throwing them in the trash. You want to know what part of these people is expendable? What part of me is expendable? All of me. If you're going to do that, why don't you put us in the trash bag too? Take it off to the curb. You treat a cur dog or your cat or a mangy mutt better than you treat people here. How dare you?
I'm sorry that...
It's a shame. I'm ashamed to be Canadian right now.
Yeah,
I'd rather be a cockroach. At least they have the decency to step on that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back to the YWCA and take a bed unless they come to me and apologize. I believe they should be reassessed by me, not the other way around.
Yeah.
They made me suffer so bad. I will never get over the traumas I've been through since I've been out in this tent, ever in my life. And I still haven't even had a shower. So still cleaning garbage. I still tried to help everybody. I try to make sure everybody feels when they talk to me better than I do. I want them to feel good when they walk away from me. I don't want anybody to ever wake up and feel like I feel in the mornings. I cry when I wake up because I still breathe. I cry when I sleep because of the atrocities that happen out here.
Yeah.
This is not okay. To do this is not okay. These are human beings. Somebody's child. Born into this world with the right to breathe air and be treated with decency.
And Matt's denying you that, right?
I've been denied any kind of help.
Well,
and they put me on a restriction that is meant for somebody who is violent towards staff and destroys property. All I did was say, I only have a 2-bag minimum, and don't yell at me. Mm-hmm. It had been 4 days since I had slept. There was bed bugs in my bed. I couldn't lay down.
Yeah, that's also a problem that happens.
I'm allergic. I'm allergic to bug bugs.
Yeah.
They told me there was no bugs. I had to bring them 3 live bugs in a bag before they called it a exterminator. Most of the people that are staffing this place are coming in directly from school with no trauma training.
Yeah.
I don't believe a person should be allowed to come to a shelter without apprenticing at a trauma center or an addiction center for at least 2 years under somebody very experienced first.
Yeah.
Because these people that arrive at these places are displaced and traumatized to begin with.
Yeah.
And trauma is not black and white. Neither is addiction.
No.
Addiction is unfortunately a side effect of trauma.
Yes.
Okay? Treat the cancer. And these people are being traumatized even worse. I was thrown out in the cold for apparently being 1 grocery bag over a 2-bag minimum.
This was at the YWCA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, everything out here is a waiting list. To get a gateway worker is 4 years. To get into housing is 20.
Yeah.
To get a
know,
CMHA, it's another 4 years.
So I just want to clarify
like,
for my viewers. Sometimes they think that 20-year thing is an exaggeration. I know for a fact, I can say for an absolute fact.
Yeah, I've been on the Niagara Regional Housing List since 2011.
2011, and you're probably going to be on until 2030.
Yep.
And until then, the city is going to cat and mouse you.
Yeah, they just keep throwing me from one lot to the next. Everybody keeps going, get off my your eyesore. Nobody wants to take responsibility. 90% of the tents out here have been thrown out of emergency shelters. Think about it. I was thrown out of an emergency shelter into a snowbank in fucking February. Now I have been traumatized to no end. I'm scared to death that my stuff will be stolen. I sit with a baseball bat all night because I have a piece of cloth between me and the rapist that might be out there.
That's even here, right? Like,
yeah,
that's everywhere.
That's everywhere. I have one piece of cloth. You think they can't get through there to get me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Am I going to get killed for my burner top that I have in there for heat? I pull ticks off my skin every morning. If I want to take a poop, I got to walk 4 blocks, and some days I can't make it. I got to shit in a bag like a dog. Take it to the curb. I've been cleaning up everybody's trash to help the residents here for the last 2 weeks. Cleaning garbage.
And that represents the change.
Cleaning garbage as a 50-year-old that's laying on a piece of plywood.
Yeah.
That can't wash her skin.
Yeah. Eleanor,
I've asked for help.
The way the region and the city has been treating you is
But it's not just me.
No, I know.
It's not just me.
I know.
And a lot of the anger and the garbage and the debris that you see at these tent sites is because they won't pick their garbage up. Mm-hmm. They treat them like they're invisible. They have no voice. Yeah. Get off my lot, you fucking eyesore. Yeah. Push it under the rug, it'll go away. All they're doing by destroying these people's homes, think about it. You're taking a bulldozer into a tent site. You're bulldozing down their belongings. Everything that they have in the world is in that tent.
Yep, scooping it
ripping up the only type of shelter that they have away from rain, wind,
and
too much sun.
Yeah.
How can you do that to a human being? You wouldn't do it to your animals.
Now, I've been...
You don't do that to your animals.
A few years ago when the city started doing this, and I noticed that these always seem to happen around middle of the month. Why is that particularly harmful for an unhoused individual?
Or they'll be thrown out on a weekend where there's no manager or anybody at the shelter to go to protest. Yeah. To say, hey, listen, I didn't do anything bad enough to deserve this.
Do you feel this timing is deliberate?
Yes, it is. And that's mid-month, and that's right about the time that our disability checks or welfare checks have run out because they don't give you enough to live on in a month. Yeah. If I pay rent, I can't eat.
Yeah. It's rent or food.
And even now, with $1,300, I can't even afford to rent a room. Yeah. I can't afford to rent a room where I would have to share my kitchen, maybe have my food stolen. Yeah. You know?
And be further traumatized by a stranger.
Yeah. And go through all of this shit, have to go and scrub all the shit and piss off the toilet before I go to the bathroom. Yeah. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a delinquent. I didn't fucking not pay my rent. I didn't break a law to end up in a tent because I had nowhere to go. I know nobody. I have no family out here. Yeah. There's no couch surfing for me. They sentenced me to 3 months of severe trauma. Severe. Degrading. Debilitating.
Now they want to do it for another 4 months, you said.
Inhumane trauma.
Yeah.
For no reason except for the fact that I didn't want to be disrespected and yelled at about an extra bag of legal papers. You can't get help out here. I've been screaming at the top of my lungs for 3 years, screaming out against the atrocities that are going on here. Mm-hmm. Screaming out against places like Riordan that treats a person that's reaching out for help as a criminal with no rights, no voice. How fucking dare you treat a human being that way? I don't care if you're born here or born abroad. I don't care what color your skin is. Whether you are into girls or boys, it makes no difference to me. Do you bleed red? Yeah. I'm allowed to live, aren't I?
Yes, you are, yeah. With dignity.
When?
With dignity.
When?
Well...
And if they're not going to help me here, if nobody's going to see the atrocity of what goes on in these situations, then euthanize me. Euthanize me like you would your animals. You wouldn't let an animal suffer like this. I have no quality of life. There's nothing for me. I'm pulling bugs off my skin every day. I piss on myself on a regular. I'm 50 years old with an overactive bladder. I can't wash my skin.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. So why do you use, like, what?
I have, I guess, adult ADHD. I didn't even know a person could have adult ADHD until about a year ago. At any given time, I got 50 things fighting in my head, all fighting for space, all these responsibilities. I end up starting 10 different projects and can't finish anything. I can't concentrate long enough to finish the one.
And
I use I use about a quarter of a point, and it's once a day. I go all the way up to CTS to use it, and it makes my head clear off so that I can concentrate on that one thing and get that one thing done.
And I mean,
and then go to
you use
the
that
next.
one thing done to get this? Was that
no,
one thing?
Most of this was sober.
This is sober.
The stuff that I use only actually lasts about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it wears off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the stuff that I'm
Especially
using is the same thing as the drugs that they will prescribe to me once I get in to see a shrink, which I'm on the waiting list for.
Yeah. Do you use here?
No, I do not.
No, it's
I don't
only
allow
at
any.
CTS.
I don't allow any usage at my tent. Okay. I disagree with that. If you're going to use, it shouldn't be out here in the open. Some lessons are better left unlearned. Let these kids be kids as long as they can.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm asking is there was no judgment behind it.
Yeah.
I want to kill that notion that everybody uses in their tent and there's needles everywhere.
No. Not everybody is irresponsible. A lot of the irresponsibility that you're seeing nowadays is because a lot of these guys are being shuffled from one place to the next place to the next place to the next place.
Further away from places
and being
like CTS.
treated like worse than you would treat a cur dog.
Yeah.
Because if I was whining at somebody's door covered in fleas and mange, I'd be in a home.
Yeah. Someone would call,
if you see a dog or an animal suffering like this, you would euthanize it.
Yeah. He doesn't like to
Matt
associate
Siscoe,
himself.
I did sit with, and I gave him my story, and I told him exactly what was happening. Who I had just been kicked out of Riordan at that point, where I wasn't allowed to close my door when I slept.
Yeah.
I was diddled as a kid. Yeah. When you're sleeping, it's your most vulnerable thing. So Matt Siscoe managed to make it to where we could close our doors again after a lot of work, and I thought he was on the right track. He started to ask the right questions at the council meetings about the Out of the Cold program, where they say you've got to be minus 15 to run an Out of the Cold program. 0 is too cold for a human being when they're soaking wet.
You'll die. Yeah, you'll die.
And that was proven this winter when we had a man die downtown. He froze to death. I got frostbite twice this year, hypothermia twice this year, thrown out of emergency shelters to freeze in the winter. For voicing out against wrongs.
Yeah.
Is why I'm being thrown out. I don't have a violent history. I've never been violent in my life. I might call you a bitch if you're a bitch.
Yeah.
I called that. I've been here. Today is day 17.
17. So
17 days in total.
Let's take a we'll just stay here for now, but let's just take a look. So you have essentially all of this, we'll just call it garbage junk.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff
all
in
of
there,
this like biodegradable,
this all came out of here and out of the ditch. I've got some piles back there still.
Yeah, I see some
that I've stacked up
there.
ready to be picked up.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of give you an idea of how much garbage is in these. Here, come with me. We're going to walk over here, and I'm just going to let you look underneath this tree here. I did, yep. If you look under here, you'll see all the garbage and debris. Up in the top
This is what it was like before, eh?
Yep. And up top there was a tent city there. I guess they ripped them out a year ago in October.
Okay.
The tents and all the debris were left behind, all shredded. There was needles.
So the city workers who are paid to remove the stuff,
they can't come onto the property. It's private property. It's CNN. CNN had leased the property off to CN. Yes, they did. They had leased it off to another Geo Rail.
Yeah, which I see that sign there.
And both of them are playing it's not my responsibility, but it's your responsibility. And unfortunately, when there's a tent site or needles found on the ground, their union worker can look at that needle and say, no, I'm not cleaning that.
Yeah, and they're out.
And they have to bring in an abatement team.
Yeah.
Which is very expensive. As far as I know, to do just this front corner would probably be about $25,000. They come in with special metal soled shoes. They come in with puncture-proof gloves,
Yep.
and hazmat suits to clean the area.
So tomorrow,
Unfortunately, with the tents being ripped out and all the garbage and debris up there, people started using this as a garbage dump.
yes, and we saw that. Like we saw a lot of this this trash is construction
this is nothing.
garbage.
Yeah, and shame on the construction companies.
Yeah.
I put a challenge out there to any construction company with a
Like,
little
you
bit of
can-
time to come and pick up the construction stuff
Yeah, you can see all like the
that's
the
been
bags
dumped
and,
by other construction companies.
Yeah.
And help these residents that's homes are flooding because the wallpaper's getting down into the drain.
and just thickening up and turning.
I
into
can't
paste.
remove it.
Yeah.
I don't have a dump truck or a loader.
So
It'd be good advertising for them and good on them to help the community here get
100%.
rid of some of that fucking rubble. These folks,
So-
they've been fighting for over a year to try and get that drainage ditch cleared out of all the debris and garbage.
So you say an eyesore. We were talking about the neighbors. So what have
Yeah.
been the neighbors' response? Like some of the people in
At
this area?
first, they were standoffish with me until I went up to the Tim Hortons and bugged them for a couple of black garbage bags. My first 2 days, I had to do it that way.
Yeah.
And I was yelling out to the neighbors as I was cleaning the garbage over here, "Yeah, bring me bags, I'll keep cleaning." Because my tent's here and I understand that the garbage is not nice, it's a school.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a school
for sure.
right there.
Yeah.
And I worry for the children. You know, the kids that want to play in a safe environment. If it weren't for these beautiful residents here this month, I would have starved. I wouldn't have made it. They've brought me garbage bags, cigarettes, they've brought me food, drinks, you know, and rallied
And we're talking
for
about
me.
like the
I'm
residents
talking
around
about
here.
the community here.
Yeah,
This is a nice community.
Yeah.
These are good people here. They work hard to have their homes. We managed to get by our differences, me as a homeless person and them as a resident, and meet in the middle to do what the city couldn't and get it done. I heard their plight about the ditch. I worked myself to death to get the ditch done. I wanted to make sure it was done before they threw me out of here.
And you did a good
CNN and Geo, the residents are emailing them to try and get them to do something to help me
Yeah.
here. They would have paid $80,000 to clean this lot probably before they could sell it or return it. I've done it for you.
And they're now evicting.
Help
you.
me now.
Yeah.
Don't victimize me more. I've already done enough to earn my place. I'm very functional and I'm trying my best not to piss people off here.
Yeah.
And I understand from both sides of the tale.
Yeah.
Please, somebody do the right thing.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, you're trying. Yeah, for sure.
I am. I'm making a stand and I'm doing the right thing. And talk to a couple of the neighbors here. And they'll tell you how hard it was and how much fighting they did
Yeah.
to get this clean. All they wanted to do was protect their homes and their investments
Yeah.
that they've worked very hard for.
Yeah.
And nobody would help them. Nobody would help them get it done. They sent hundreds of emails off to CNN, to Geo, CN Rail to Geo Rail, to the bylaw officers to try and get this done, to protect their homes, to protect their children. If you turn around right behind you, come with me. We'll look over top of the shrubbery here. Right past those cars is a public school.
Oh yeah. No, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a public school.
Yeah.
They're trying to protect their children from these atrocities.
Yeah.
How is a child going to learn to be gracious and humane to his brethren when the next thing they're going to see after they watch me pick up the litter? I had a 6-year-old tell me, "They're destroying my earth." I said, "I'm trying to clean it up for you though, honey." She said, "Thank you." This is a 6-year-old. She couldn't have said it better. "They're destroying my earth." So I cleaned it up for her. And tomorrow she gets to learn a new lesson on what they will do to somebody who's stuck in my position if I don't leave. They get to watch a bulldozer come in or a cop drag me off in cuffs while they take my belongings and throw them in the garbage. What are we teaching them?
Yeah. Is tomorrow. I'm going to be here tomorrow if you don't mind.
I need as many people here to rally for me as possible tomorrow.
Yeah,
because
that's what
I
I thought.
cannot move this tent tonight. There's no way.
No.
I have way too much stuff in there and I'm tired. I've been doing 18-hour days here
Plus,
to clean this.
it's in the first thing in the morning, right?
They're saying at 8 o'clock in the morning. They came this afternoon. 8 o'clock in the morning is not even fucking reasonable.
Did they was this afternoon the first notice they
Yeah.
gave you?
Yeah, nobody said a word to me. And the residents here are upset about it. They want me to be left alone. You know.
So earlier we were talking how you've tried to reach out to some of the elected officials.
Yeah. I went and talked to Wayne Gates' office while I was in Niagara for help. And they did try to help me, but found the same frustrating bullshit and red tape. I've had a couple of people step into my life that tried to help that met the same brick walls that I'm finding when you call 211 and they can't give you a bed. Or any kind of assistance. I ended up at a shelter here, one of our first wet shelters, as they so call it, which means that they are looking past the drug addictions and letting people use in the yard. It's a solid idea. It's staffed very wrong.
At 8:01 tomorrow morning.
Yes, they're coming in with police who will threaten to arrest me if I don't remove myself. I was originally told that it was BYLAW that was using the railway, the standing rail.
Oh, so they were using
that.
And
this new laws that have been dropped down by my Mr. Siscoe, who I've already sat down with before to address about the homeless problem out here.
And what was his answer to you?
That he was going to try and do something. Next thing I know, he's bulldozing tents down. That's the answer, isn't it?
Yeah, that is his answer, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't he own a bunch of dilapidated buildings around here? Doesn't the city own a whole bunch of factories that are falling down that are eyesores?
Yeah.
Why can't they turn that into somewhere where the tents can be?
Yep. Yeah.
We're not allowed to be in a park.
No.
You're not allowed to be anywhere near residential. You're not allowed to be anywhere where there's public transit or standing rail. Where would you like them to go? Homeless is on the rise, sweetheart. They just raised rents another 7 to 10% this year. I'm on ONSC. I get $1,300 a month. I can't even get a room at a dilapidated hotel for that.
One of the things when I've attended what's going to happen tomorrow, when I've attended things like this in the past in the city,
they will put cuffs on me and drag me out of the tent and bulldoze my entire belongings down.
The Niagara Regional Police have accused me in the past of victimizing you by being here and being a witness.
I believe that the public out here, I've educated a lot of the residents over the last little while that had no idea that you couldn't just call 211 and get into a shelter. That these people are being pushed into their backyards by being thrown out of these emergency places. This is not okay. And nobody seems to want to get the truth out there to help everybody know what's happening. They pay tax dollars. I still report GST quarterly for my business. I pay my taxes too. You know,
I'm going to stay here until we find out what's happening.
I would like more people to get more education on what's actually happening.
And that's
not just this bullshit that you see on paper, the turnover number. That looks so good on paper. Because your turnover number coming out of these shelters is creating your tent cities.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Why would you allow an emergency shelter to bully people who are coming in that needed help? This is disgusting to me. This is causing more and more deaths every year. And if I don't take a stand here, where they're asking me to kick ass over there, where they already punished me for 90 days for no reason, what's to stop them from punishing me again? You can't do this to people. It's not proper nor right. I'm making a stand right now, and I would ask that everybody stand with me and become one voice against bullying. Tell these people exactly what happens when they call 211.
Yeah, I will.
How hard it is for them to get a bed.
Yeah. And tomorrow I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I can.
And CNN, help me out a little bit here. I get $1,300 a month. It'd be nice for them to come up and put me, I don't even need cash. Put me in a hotel for a little while. Give me a little bit of a fucking break from all this stupidness. They had a problem. Okay, I was sitting here. I came across because I got
we are community.
after cleaning over there for a month. I got kicked out of Tasker. An older gentleman got worried because his property had been damaged by tenters before. He didn't understand my position. So I walked as far as I could walk, and this is as far as I could get. I started across the street. The man that bought the lease across the street asked me to move. He was putting it up for sale. He was polite with me. I have no problem with that. I broke the temp down and moved. I've been cleaning up here for 2 weeks straight.
I know, I heard that.
16 to 18 hours a day,
Yep.
picking up needles and garbage, Keurig cups, diapers. I don't know any tent who can run a Keurig or has a child in a
amazing
tent.
what we see.
You know, like, because the garbage was overwhelming up here. I heard after 2 days of begging everybody for bags.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking up to Tim Hortons and get garbage bags to come here to clean. Mostly to keep my sanity, because who the hell wants to sit in a tent all day long? I'm on every waiting list there is. Hurry up and wait. So I got busy and started cleaning. I started yelling out to the neighbors, bring me garbage bags, I'll keep cleaning. You know, and then somebody told me their story. What happens is all this garbage built up and rolled down the hill into the storm drain there. Well, the last heavy rainfall before I arrived here, their houses flooded in the lower levels and caused damage. Can you imagine? The neighbors were out here with rakes trying to figure out how to get the drains to drain. Nobody wants to take ownership, CN or GeoRail, for this mass cleanup. Because they and I took it upon myself, okay, the city's not doing it, God damn it, I'll get down there. Don't you worry, I'll make sure that you do not get flooded again. And I cleaned that entire ditch. I trimmed the trees, I took all the debris out. I found them a second storm drain they didn't know they had. The water's not going into their homes anymore. The rain last. Here I am, the homeless that they were worried about coming into their neighborhood that's going to destroy everything. And I have my problem because the city's not able to help me as well. Right? Because,
Eleanor, I understand Victim Services is here to help you maybe get into some place. I don't know the details.
Nassau said that there's something on the table.
Okay.
I'm supposed to hold off and wait for her.
Okay.
She should be here within the next hour.
No, I know, but so you arrived and the cleanup crew arrived, and there were no workers here. There's no work. There's
Yes, there's a bunch of workers down there.
They were parked right here for over an hour this morning, and there was not one worker. They arrived before the workers.
Yeah. And I only got told about this yesterday afternoon, that my temp was included in this.
I believe that the owner of the property let people know a week ago.
No, nobody came to me.
Well,
Nobody came to me. So
she's
I've got
here,
I've got too much stuff to move in there, but I've done them a huge favor here and saved them a hell of a lot of money. I would have expected some leeway here.
This is my understanding of what the property owner would like.
Yeah.
They're going to be clearing this area.
Yeah, they want to take all the trees down.
They're taking the trees down. They're taking a bunch of stuff,
perfect.
which is dangerous for you to be here while they're doing that.
Yeah, once they get up to this end.
They also don't want anybody on the property that's not allowed to be on the property. So,
Officer Richardson, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Yeah. So, are you hired by them?
No.
So why are you here today for property owners who never maintained this property? That's my question to you.
I met
the property owners asked me to attend.
Yeah.
So
that's what we do. Just like if you asked me to attend your residence. So.
Yeah, and that's got a lot of people up in arms because they've been after these people for a year to clean the mess up in here.
Yeah.
It took me a 50-year-old lady who's laying on the ground. Usually, I just got my cot here a few days back, but it was on the ground. It was laying on a piece of plywood. It took a 50-year-old lady, homeless lady. Okay, 14 days to clean up this mess.
So what do you need today?
What do I need today?
Sorry.
Housing I definitely need. I need leeway.
She can't
and
be
I would like some
evicted.
recognition for the fucking work.
This
that
is
had
a
to go
violation
into
of our
this.
Section 7
I
charter
fucking
rights.
severed a nerve in my hand working a saw, like to try and help.
So,
You're part of the quarantine,
what I'm trying to get to is the community and the homeless here. My homeless, their community, met in the middle and took care of something that the city couldn't up here. Because they've been after CN, they've been after GeoRail, doing the mess. They've been after the homeless. A lot of people don't understand. Not all the homeless are out here to hurt people.
Everybody to move off their property.
Yeah.
And they're going to clean this.
Yeah, they've been saying that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
It's already been cleaned.
Yeah, it's already. I already did this part. This part's clean. They just got to take the trees down when they're ready to take the trees.
Clean that part.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
It's their property. It's going to be their decision.
So
They should come and talk to me.
Yep.
I do believe they should come and
where
talk
are
to
the
me.
staff for her to support
Victim
her?
Services is here to support.
They're here because of me.
And NASA's been
They're
engaged.
here because of me, not because of anything
any services that are in place.
Ma'am, you
I'm-
asked me a question, I gave you an answer.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
He's not trying to be nasty.
No.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Well, you're complaining.
Okay, so I'll have to ask everybody if they could to
officers
move off
that
the
are here,
property.
guys, hold on.
Appreciate it.
This isn't their fault, okay? This isn't their fault. This is a city-wide problem. It's a systematic problem. Their hands are tied. They are just as frustrated as I am. 100%. They do not want to chase me off of here just to chase me off the next place a week later. When they know I have nowhere to go.
Our point is,
He understands that.
it's just kicking you out.
Yeah.
There's no
It's get off my law,
resolution,
you
there's no
eyesore. And
This
they
isn't
think that's
city
going to
property.
start.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but it's
Yeah.
city contracted vehicles that are here to move for help.
No, there aren't.
No. Those are private.
The
That's a
city has
private
been
abatement.
patrolling here all morning.
This
Yes,
isn't
he's supposed to
property.
go. That's because he's got to pay
Here
there.
all morning. As a
Yeah.
resident, I've been up since 5:30 this morning. The city. All morning.
Those aren't city.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not.
They
Maybe
have
there's
city-
Councillor Bateman is not incorrect.
something else going on.
There's
I
one
don't
city
know,
truck
but
that we
it's-
got to watch for. He's
it's
got
a private
there's a young
company
man
and private
comes in.
My
contractors.
frustration is not with you.
I
As
get
a
it.
social worker who
Yep.
is employed by the region,
Yeah.
my frustration is that there is no resolution. All it is get up, move. We don't want you here. And the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is, there's no funding, there's no affordable housing,
I hear
there's
you.
nowhere we can put these people.
Yep.
So A, as a resident, and B, as a social worker, I'm looking at a human being who now has nowhere to go, and I'm expressing
And
frustration.
I'm going to provide as much assistance as I can and
Yeah.
help both sides, the property owner and Ms. Ray. So Ms. Ray, what can I do? You need?
The community here has taken very, very good care of me. I've gone through 120 garbage bags. I've sent 120
Ma'am,
garbage
can I
bags.
please get you to move off the property? It's trespassing.
Yeah, just,
The owner can direct me to leave.
The owner has given me authority
Yeah.
to direct people
I don't believe you.
off the property.
I don't believe you. When I hear from the owner or a
owner?
representative of the owner, then
I am
I'll leave.
acting on behalf of the owner.
No, I'm sorry.
I've already spoken to her. We'll go.
She can pop over here then if she exists,
I have
or
asked
she's a fiction of your imagination.
on behalf of the owner to leave. I just spoke with her.
I don't believe you.
Well, it doesn't matter whether you believe
And
me
it
or
doesn't
not.
matter whether you are inventing some fictional conversation or not. When they direct me to leave,
okay, yeah. And as I said, if they once they start getting up to this end,
I love beating these guys in
once they get up,
court.
tell them once they get to
They're habitual losers in court.
You see that sign right outside? The first one?
What does that mean?
I've asked them to give me a couple of days to work on getting my stuff out because there's no I can't physically do it right now. You know, I suffered a nerve in my hand chopping it off.
So I'm Cora. I'm with Geo. I've been with Geo for a couple of years, and prior to that, my background is actually in social services. I spent 20 years in social services, so I'm very familiar with Ellie's situation, and I've worked with a lot of people who experience homelessness, and I've worked with people who have been through the justice system and stuff like that too. So I understand, and we are not.
That's going to be hard because everybody's here.
We're not wanting to, just kick people out, but at the same time, we also have to recognize that this is private property and there's safety concerns, right? People are parked encampment close to a railway. So we have to understand
Now, I've told everybody
that
that I'm voting back.
railways are dangerous, right? Like if you're by a railroad track, that also causes potential danger to people.
Can I
Please.
ask an obvious question as a counselor and
Yeah.
somebody who works with residents here?
Sure.
This area has been in need of some
Rehab.
some cleanup for a very long time.
So we've recently taken over this property.
When was that?
I don't know the exact date, but it's been a few years. We don't have any lines running right now on this property, which is also why, we weren't very aware of people moving in. Otherwise, we would have notified Ellie a long time ago that this is private property. So we heard about encampments in mid-March that people were living out on the space. And we've been trying to work with city, we've worked very successfully with the police, with bylaw officers, to try and support folks to move on. We recognize that homelessness is a huge issue right now in Canada, across Canada, right?
So my question is that residents have been telling me they've been in need of this area to be cleaned up for quite some time, years.
Okay, so we, again, were notified mid-March.
You've been notified before that about
Not
debris.
not Geo. Geo Railway was notified March 10th.
We've done a real good
You're,
job.
I just want to be clear that you've never received any correspondence about needles, dumping.
Until March 10th.
Okay, but isn't it your responsibility, because it's property you own, to maintain it and to make sure that the grass is
So
cut?
this was property that we've inherited, we've taken over.
A few years ago, you said, though. Right?
I don't know the exact date. I didn't say years.
You said a few years.
A few
but
years.
Go ahead.
Okay.
That's okay.
So we've recently taken over this property.
When was that?
I don't know the exact date, but it's been a few years. We don't. So
I'm not trying to get you in any.
well, you are.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not.
You're.
That's her. I don't have my camera going. But my point is that, and you're caught between me trying to support changing the system to benefit.
You know what? The thing is, we would love to be a part of being change makers, right? However, we were notified March 10th that there was an encampment, and since that time,
So it's the encampment. It's not the mess. It's the encampment.
we didn't even know about any of the mess or the encampment until March 10th.
Okay, but that is the responsibility of
Every property
lessees
owner.
or property owners or property managers.
For sure. And we're going to get better at it, right? But we only know what we know. You can't know what you don't know. We didn't know about it, therefore we couldn't do anything about it. We didn't know about it.
Well, it's your responsibility to know about it. It's my phone going.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. But it is your responsibility to know about it. And I don't mean to be, I wish the owners were here so I could talk to them, but you're here. But this is happening across, like, that grass should not be that tall. You have people over here who are cutting their lawn, who own that property, and they're here all the time cutting it. I hear from neighbors, and then you guys are here.
and now that we're made aware of it, it is definitely something that we are going to continue to look at.
Okay, because
Right?
residents deserve better.
I agree. We don't disagree with you at all. At all. We don't disagree. We want this place cleaned up, which is why we have a crew that's starting at that end to clean up.
Are they using bulldozers?
They're using backhoes.
So they're using big excavation tools to clean up the encampment.
Yes. Well, sorry. Can I question?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I feel like there was maybe that's not okay. Or,
No, I don't think it's okay. These are people's homes.
Right. On private property, however.
Private property that you've not maintained
you've
for years.
neglected.
And yet
That you have no interest in maintaining
so-
until there's a human being on it.
no.
And then it becomes an issue.
No, it became an issue when we were notified of it.
So
It wasn't an issue before that we weren't notified.
That
now
makes
that we've
no
been
logical sense.
Sorry?
If I own, if my property, my home, if I let the grass grow to the heights that are over there,
Right.
to allow the bushes and trees and vines to grow out of control, I would have long time ago been contacted by city bylaw. So
You know what? So here's the thing. City bylaw did contact us
when?
in
Roughly?
March.
March. Yeah, after the passage
So,
of this
again-
unconstitutional bylaw.
Okay, so again, if we were not notified and we do not use
You
the
realize
property,
that the city, if a bylaw enforcement came and saw my lawn in a state of disrepair, saying, "Oh, I didn't know," isn't an excuse.
okay,
A judge, a trier of fact or law, would not say, "Oh, you didn't know? Well, in that case, we'll let it slide this one time." You own the property. You had a responsibility to maintain it.
and
You
we are,
clearly
and that's
didn't.
what we're doing now. And
You didn't for years,
so,
and now
we are.
and now that city bylaw tipped you off that your property, your neglected, abandoned property, was being used by someone. Now it's convenient that you're coming in.
It's not convenient.
Oh, you're right. It's not convenient to Ellie. You're right. Absolutely. It's not convenient
It's not
to Ellie.
convenient to Ellie or any of the folks living over there.
How many have complained to you? Since we're going to make up stories, let's use the Socratic method to dig in deeper.
Can I ask you something?
Sure, ask away.
Sorry, I forget your name.
Sabrina.
Sabrina. I'm really terrible with names. My apologies. And sorry, where are you from, Sabrina?
I'm a legal advocate. I'm here to represent Ellie's interests.
Okay, excellent. That's fantastic. So, when did you first meet Ellie?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It's
I'm
not my
sorry.
property.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
and I actually technically I've known her for years because I used to work in the social services profession here locally.
Okay.
But
excellent.
her occupancy of this abandoned tract of land came to my attention yesterday.
Okay.
So I don't know what relevance that has to.
Well,
So it's not my property, so I didn't have an obligation to know she was residing here.
right. So I guess my question is, what are you hoping to advocate for in this situation?
Her Section 7 rights,
Which is?
her right to live freely without the harassment. Now I recognize that
I
this
agree,
is
but
your
not
property.
on our property.
Yeah,
This is
property
our
that you
property.
neglected for years.
Regardless, this is our property.
That's a pretty big regardless. You're ignoring the fact that you abandoned and neglected this property for a long time until one of Matt Siscoe's goons tipped you guys off that someone's here. He's the unfortunate mayor of St. Catharines. Until one of his bylaw officers reached out to you and say, hey, guess what? Just so you can weaponize.
We're not weaponizing
TPA.
anything, and I don't appreciate that word.
What are you
ju-
talking about? You're
we are not
weaponizing the TPA, the Trespass to Property Act for non-professionals. The Trespass to Property Act. You're weaponizing them. You're weaponizing individuals like this.
We are absolutely not weaponizing anybody. What we are asking for is for our property to remain clear and free
Now,
of anybody
now,
residing.
Years later. Yeah, years later.
Of anybody
now you're
residing.
finding the inspiration. And again, it's not your issue. It's whoever you report to. It's the owners of this company.
I'm going to step away.
Bye-bye.